San Antonio homebuilders may stop building. This article says San Antonio homebuilders signal a pullback and an uncertainty creeps into the market. You have a new record of homes sitting on the market, which is over 9,570, up about 500 homes since last month. And of those 9,000 plus homes, 3,128 are brand new construction. And of those 3,128 homes, 576 homes have been price dropped. All the deals, all the incentives are coming out from builders. We're gonna talk about why they stopped building homes and what areas are affected the most. If it feels as though San Antonio housing market is unpredictable at this point, you are not alone. If you remember 4 to 5 months back, new homes were basically a lottery system with escalation clauses, and people were pushing each other to get into these new constructions because of the great rates and the low inventory. Now the script has been flipped. There's too many new homes for sale. Now builders are trying to catch up with the supply chain problem. You're going to have more incentives. You're gonna have better prices, lower prices. And since a lot of these home builders own their own mortgage companies, they can make it up on both ends. If you look at the height of the San Antonio market for new construction, in March 2021, there was 1,474 new permits being pulled. In June of this year, there was only 909. That is down 29% from the year past. Now, if we look at a bird's eye view across the country, in the US, new homes were 109,100 projects started for single family homes. Of those 100,000 new construction homes, 62,400 were here in the South. Mortgage rates are up 66% since January, the highest point in the last 10 years. D noted, prices for the new homes in the range have gone up 7% over the same span. What's interesting is rates more than doubled, but there's still a house price increase of 7%. With all the inventory that's available on the market, plus the 500 plus price drops of new construction only, builders are now saying, you know what, we're gonna pull back, we're not going to raise prices, and we're gonna give you more incentives to get rid of what we got, and then build more, eventually. Now, before we get into the bigger reason of why new home construction has pretty much halted, we're gonna talk about the top 10 cities who've had the biggest cool down. And you wonder, is this a reason why they slowed down production? Top 10 markets who've had the biggest cool downs in the United States: Tacoma, Washington, Northport, Florida, Oakland, California, Phoenix, Denver, Sacramento, San Diego, San Jose. You ready for the last two? I wonder if Austin's in here. I wonder if San Antonio's in here. Number 2 is gonna be Las Vegas, and number 1, Seattle, Washington. What's very interesting about these top 10 markets is they're all above a median house price of $450,000. When you mess with interest rates and you mess with affordability, the markets that have average home prices of about $350,000, which is San Antonio. One can conclude San Antonio housing market still looks pretty good compared to others. So why are home builders stop building? Is there anyone watching this from other markets? Let me know how your market's doing down below. In this article, new home market at a crossroads amid uptick, canceled contracts, and incentive. Canceled contracts. Ashley from the San Antonio Business Journal says, home builders across the US are shifting their strategies and financial outlooks amid changing consumer demand for housing. In Phoenix, one of the hottest pandemic housing markets, the contract cancellation rate from mid-July was 30%. That's up from 8% just the year before. Phoenix was a very similar market to San Antonio because of the median house price. So you're thinking, why did so many people cancel their contracts? Don't you have to pay earnest money once you sign the agreement? The answer is yes, but with all the rising interest rates and plus the prices going down, you have people that are realizing,
hey, instead of the $5,000 I paid in earnest money, I can go over to the next neighborhood and get $20,000 worth of incentives.
So the earnest money wasn't enough to keep them in the agreement, so they canceled.
And they said, you know what, I'll just go down the street where the house is better, the house is cheaper, and they're giving me $20,000 worth of incentives.
Nationally, about 60,000 of home purchase agreements fell through in June, or 14.9% of the homes were under contract this month. We had a client here locally who was with a very well-known builder here in San Antonio, and we got under contract back in May. The incentive was only $5,000. Well, July hit and the incentives went up to $20,000. So it made sense for him to decide,
you know what, I'm gonna terminate and go to the neighboring street.
This home builder gave him $25,000 worth of incentives for not canceling the agreement. And this is the example of many clients and other people that I have seen in the market do the same thing. Now, I'm not telling you to cancel your contract, but it just makes sense to look at other places and make sure you're getting the best deal. Ryan Marshall, a CEO of Pulte Homes, which is a very well-known builder here in San Antonio, says the majority of incentives in builders in the second quarter took the form of long-term rate locks or buy downs. And of course, builders are also competing against pre-owned homes, and pre-owned homes are competing against builders. So you have to look at who's gonna help you buy down the rate the most possible. I always recommend buying down the rate as low as humanly possible. Loan officers may tell you buying down the rate doesn't make the most sense, but here's the pros and cons real quick. If you buy down the rate, then you pretty much guarantee that you're gonna stay at that rate for as long as you live in the house. And if rates go down, then you can always refinance. But what if they go up? Then you're gonna be kicking yourself for not buying down the rate the most you can when you bought the house, especially with all these incentives. Let me know if you agree on buying down the rate and if it makes sense. So here you have a home builder like LGI. LGI is very big in the San Antonio greater area. LGI says, now it's time to spend more money on marketing. I don't think you need to spend more money on marketing because we can clearly see that there's so many price drops and so much availability in homes. Why don't you just increase the incentives? Do you agree? Texas Public Radio news article says, home prices drop again, but buyers are still paying asking price. Here's a secret. The last thing a builder wants to do is lower the price on a home. They'll give you as many incentives as possible, buy down your rates, pay your loan fees, everything. But the last thing they want to do is lower the price because when they build other homes in the area, the appraisers are typically going to use the lower priced home and they're gonna make less profit. So the more homes they price drop, the less they're going to make on the other homes they build. So if they're dropping prices, that means that they're really wanting to move that inventory. And that's where you can take advantage. This article said the San Antonio Board of Realtors reports a 5-month downward trend continue in August. According to multiple MLS reports from San Antonio, New Braunfels, 3,356 homes were sold in August, a decrease of 9.8% from the same month in 2021. Now, what builders could you possibly get a good deal? If we look at the March 22 statistic in San Antonio, 16.04% were homes sold $500,000 prices and up. If we look at July's market report, it went up to 19.5% homes over $500,000. I think the builders that are building very luxurious homes are trying to move the inventory. So now more than ever, are you able to get a great deal and have protections during the process? With all the available new construction, with all the available pre-owned homes, this is really like going back in time before 2020 and potentially getting a great deal on a house. Even Lennar, who is the second largest builder in the US, Lennar warns rising interest rates will dull buyer demand. If the second largest home builder in the US is saying that there's going to be a dull in buyer demand, there's going to be more available for incentives and price drops. One more thing, if you're looking to move around the San Antonio area, our team would love the opportunity to help. Give us a shout.